Our Across the Aisle segment tonight. President Trump is set to announce a new executive order on immigration. Sources say this executive order will clear up a point of confusion by not impacting green card holders. The move comes after courts halted the implementation of President Trump's initial executive order, setting a temporary moratorium on immigration from countries with ties to terrorism. With me now to discuss this further, former Democratic Georgia State Representative LaDon Jones. Representative Jones, good to see you.
Hi, Liz. How's it going?
It's good. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Representative Jones, I'm very excited to talk to you about this. I spoke with Corey Lewandowski on the same topic earlier in the show. That's the Republican perspective. I want to hear your Democratic perspective, because to me this is a confusing topic in the sense that I don't understand exactly why it's a partisan issue. I understand why Democrats have a problem with President Trump in a certain sense policy-wise, but when it comes to protecting our nation, making sure that no terrorists enter our nation disguised as refugees, giving otherwise peace-loving refugees a bad name, preventing us from being able to allow them into our nation, I don't understand why Democrats and Republicans don't agree on the fact that we need to improve our vetting.
Well, it's a disagreement on the underlying foundation of the issue. America has always been and is a melting pot. And for Democrats, we are concerned with ensuring that we continue that tradition of our country of being a melting pot, allowing people who are safe to come in our country because, frankly, they've helped our country grow. From our point of view, what Republicans are doing is equating all people from other countries, particularly those with a Muslim background or particularly those from Mexico, as all being criminals. And we can't see it that way. And frankly, the numbers don't bear out to that.
Right, I don't see it that way. I'm pretty open on the show about the fact that I voted for President Trump because I don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm pretty open about the fact that I'm a conservative. And I by no means have ever insinuated or would never even occur to me to say that all Muslims are bad or all people from Mexico are criminals here. I mean, the underlying idea that we are a melting pot, I mean, we're all the children or the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren of immigrants. That is what makes our nation great here. And I guess this gets to the crux of the matter. If we have a vetting system in place where we can accurately investigate whether or not people are peace-loving people who are coming here for refuge and for opportunity, or whether they're terrorists coming here to hurt us, we can allow more people into our nation if our system is effective.
That's true, but here's the problem. The president that you all have elected, even if it was to be anti-Hillary, has made statements that makes it clear or makes it appear that the underlying intent of anything that he has going forward is based on bias, that all Mexicans are criminals. Now, we know you don't feel that way, Liz, and many people who voted for Trump don't feel that way. What they really are supporting is the safety of the country. The problem is we do not have confidence that Trump will make decisions that are based on safety and facts and not based on his rhetoric and bias, and we can see from the recent court rulings that the court agrees. That
I can understand that. I felt the same way in some senses about some things that President Obama did. I automatically opposed them until he could prove otherwise because I knew that I fundamentally disagreed with his political philosophy here. But when you look at the first executive order versus what reports are saying will be included in the second executive order, do these things, these changes, these tweaks that are being made to this forthcoming order, do these make you feel easier in the mind about what it is about, that it's not necessarily encapsulating in the law what you claim to be is some sort of bias or anti-immigrant attitude? If it follows the law and makes the changes the Democrats have been, unhappy with since the first order was released, would you be happy with that, or would you never be happy with it because it's been issued by President Trump?
Well, I'll tell you, he does have a high mountain to climb because of his rhetoric. However, me personally, I can accept it if it is shown that it is a narrow basis and for entry. However, here's the problem. We haven't heard a whole lot of details about what it's going to be. We've heard that it's going to probably be a two-pronged approach. However, we heard today his press secretary say, we believe this will be a narrowed approach. However, we felt that our first one was a good order. And the courts have really said that it is not. So if they are making an order along the lines of their previous thinking, it's going to be a hard battle for him to convince us that this is not, again, just bias dressed up in a dress. Right.
And I guess we'll know more about the details when it's actually released. Reports are saying, and I want to go over a couple of these things that are reportedly going to be changed in the order to see if they satisfy your requirements, if they meet that criteria, that's something that you would be able to accept. And the first is that this new order reportedly will exempt and make it very, very clear up any confusion that green card holders, dual citizens, even from those 7 nations, would be allowed to enter or leave the United States at their will. I mean, that's something that clears up a pretty large concern from the Democrats, and I think we both agree on that.
That's absolutely true. That is fair because, frankly, these people have gone through the process, and it's not fair to treat people different depending on where they came from if they've gone through the same process as everyone else.
Right, and no, I agree with you on that. I personally didn't think the first order excluded that. I think it just didn't address it. I thought it was misapplied, but I agree with that 100%. The second thing is the order would no longer single out or reject Syrian refugees just based off of the fact that they're from Syria. It would be a case-by-case basis. That, of course, is a change from the first order that said that there'd be an indefinite ban on all refugees from Syria. Does that meet your criteria?
Absolutely does. And as we can see from the response from Sweden, that's probably something that we should look at. Sweden has taken in an extraordinary number of refugees, and the problems that they have do not fall in line with what President Trump is claiming he's trying to protect against.
Right. And then the final thing, this is actually something that was in the first order. It's in the second order. I didn't have a problem with this because it seems to be actually keeping in line with what President Obama and President Bush before him did, although they didn't have to deal with the Syrian civil war quite the same way that President Trump is. And that's the 50,000 number, the cap on refugees, that we would only allow 50,000 except for in special circumstances to enter our country every year so that our system is not overwhelmed in the vetting sense, and then our welfare systems and our acceptance systems aren't overwhelmed either. What's your thoughts on that?
I really want to know where this 50,000 number came from. Is this based on our availability? Is this based on finances? Is this just based on what we think is going to be a safe number? At the end of the day, if the argument is that by allowing refugees in, we could be opening our borders to someone who is dangerous, that's true whether you let in 5,000, 50,000, or 500,000. So for me, that number needs to be based on some reliable basis of fact and not just something President Trump is pulling out the air.
Right, and like I said, I think that one's more based on precedent than anything else. That roughly lines up with how many refugees President Obama allowed into our nation the last couple years. But that, I mean, I guess that could be subject to change. Representative Jones, we're out of time. Thank you so much for the constructive conversation. It's always a delight to talk to you.